Narcissistic psychological warfare is not improvisation, it's a system. Survivors describe it as though their abuser had a manual, a playbook for breaking them down, enslaving them, and erasing them. That manual exists, and it's the CIA's declassified Kubark Counterintelligence Interrogation Manual. It was written in the 1960s to teach interrogators how to destroy and control the human beings without leaving visible scars. The blueprint is unmistakable, and it matches stage by stage the 8 stages of narcissistic psychological warfare. What should be prosecuted as torture under Geneva Conventions and instead minimalized as abuse when it occurs in civilian homes. Stage 1, Indoctrination and the Constructive Fraud of Intimacy. Kubark emphasizes capturing trust through deception, creating dependency by offering false safety, and in narcissistic psychological warfare, this appears as indoctrination, the fraudulent creation of intimacy, often mislabeled as love bombing. The victim consents to something that does not exist. Just as a prisoner consents under trickery, consent is stolen at the start. In Stage 2, the Psychological Breakdown. The manual outlines breaking identity as a first priority, stripping prisoners of confidence, credibility, and certainty. This is exactly what Stage 2 achieves. Gaslighting, humiliation, and contradiction leave the victim unable to trust their memory, perception, and sense of self. The victim collapses into confusion, just as Kubark intended. In Stage 3, the Psychological Enslavement. Kubark describes how to create dependency by alternating kindness and cruelty, ensuring the prisoner clings to the interrogator. In Stage 3, survivors are trapped in trauma-encoded dependency. The nervous system itself becomes enslaved, equating relief with obedience. The victim's capacity is no longer external, it's internalized. In Stage 4, Mental Reprogramming. The manual prescribes controlling perceptions, rewriting narratives, and isolating from the outside voices. This is the essence of Stage 4. Survivors adopt the abuser's worldview, defend them to others, and lose their grip on objective reality. What began as fraud now matures into thought control, where the victim enforces captivity against themselves. Stage 5, Psychological Punishment. The Kubark Manual details punishment without visible scars, silence, humiliation, and deprivation. Stage 5 mirrors this exactly. Survivors are subjected to psychological torture, calibrated to crush rebellion. Punishment is not random, it's systematic reinforcement that ensures obedience. Resistance becomes synonymous with unbearable pain. In Stage 6, Psychological Submission, the manual highlights distinguishing resistance through conditioned helplessness. This is what happens in Stage 6. Survivors surrender not only their actions, but their will. Compliance is no longer enforced by the abuser. It is enforced by the survivor's own collapse. Submission becomes a way of life, submitted through neurological battery. In Stage 7, Psychological Captivity, Kubark stretches long-term control through cycles of hope and despair. Stage 7 is captivity disguised as freedom, the soft discard and the hoovering cycles. Survivors believe they're free only to be recaptured again and again. The predator ensures captivity and continues indefinitely, long after the apparent relationship has ended. And in Stage 8 is destruction and erasure. The final goal of the manual is total destruction of identity, leaving prisoners hollow, compliant, and broken beyond repair. In civilian life, this is soul murder, character assassination, and psychological homicide. Survivors come to realize they love someone who never existed, while their reputation is destroyed and their will to live is erased. The process is complete and the victim is annihilated. Civilian torture versus war crimes. If these 8 stages were carried out in an interrogation cell, they would be prosecuted under the Geneva Conventions as crimes against humanity. If a government subjected prisoners to these methods outlined in the 8 stages of narcissistic psychological warfare, the international community would call it torture. Yet when narcissistic predators deploy the same tactics in civilian homes, it's minimalized as abuse. Survivors are dismissed as unstable, vindictive, or complicit, while perpetrators escape accountability for crimes that would be unthinkable in wartime. This is a human rights violation of our times, and it's in our homes. Narcissistic psychological warfare is not a private issue. It's a human rights violation. The 8 stages are not random. They are the civilian release of a military playbook designed to destroy human beings. Survivors endure interrogation-level torture without recognition, without statute, and without justice. Until the law acknowledges that the Kubark Manual lives in domestic captivity, survivors will continue to be tortured in silence. And this is the forensics truth. The 8 stages of narcissistic psychological warfare are not metaphors. They are a mirror of the CIA's Kubark Manual, a step-by-step process of psychological destruction weaponized in homes, relationships, and families. What would be a war crime in military settings is dismissed as dysfunction in civilian life. This is the ultimate failure of language, law, and justice. Until we name it for what it is, civilian torture and psychological homicide, the body count will continue to rise, uncounted and unheard. If you want to learn more about this, check out my new book, Voiceless No More, The Legal War on Narcissistic Abuse, and read all about the 8 stages of narcissistic psychological warfare, available on Amazon today.